Hello, everyone out there at Panther Land. This is Tim Whitaker, Superintendent at St. Croix Central School District. This is my inaugural Panther podcast. And the point of our video podcasts is to convey the great things that are going on in St. Croix Central School District. It's going to be a variety. The format will be to invite and I wouldn't say interview, more of a conversation with various guests to highlight the focus of the week. I intend to produce these weekly and obviously starting today. The other intent is to, as I mentioned, in addition to highlighting the great things going on in our school district, is just to also highlight other things that I think are important to me professionally as well, that integrate with the mission and vision of our school district. And I guess I got the idea from being a consumer of podcasts myself. My executive coach, Jim Early, who I definitely will have on as a guest in the future, got me introduced to podcasts early on, about 2 years ago. And for me personally, I like them because I spend a lot of time behind the windshield, and it's a great way. I kind of burned through a lot of audiobooks. I like the variety of podcasts. You kind of never know what you're going to get, and you can subscribe to the various podcasts. For me personally, I'm modeling a lot of this after Tim Ferriss. The Tim Ferriss Show is one of my favorite podcasts. I tend to focus on leadership things, but again, Tim's podcast teases out the habits and routines of like world-class people, from MMA fighters to chemists to military people to famous actors, plethora of authors, a bunch of things. But in addition to being interesting, again, they find a common ground between all these world-class people. Now, I'm not necessarily going to format it just like that, but that's where I got the idea. So I want to give credits to Jim Early, my executive coach, and to, as a consumer, I see the value in podcasts. Now, doing video podcasts, because they're frankly a little easier, when I talked to our guest about this format, whom I'll introduce here in a little bit, I thought, well, people aren't going to be able to watch videos in their car, but all you have to do is not watch them. You still have the audio. So it's the best of both worlds. You have the audio and the video, and you can use it whatever's convenient for you. So I obviously hope to make the content meaningful to an audience. Our main audience is the community of Hammond and Roberts in the St. Croix Central School District, but we're going to be linked to our website so that anybody will be able to view this. So that's kind of a little overview, since it's the first video podcast of the intent. So we'll see where it goes from here. My first guest ever on the show, intentionally, was our technology integration specialist, Dan Ruud. And obviously I had a couple goals in mind. One was to share a lot of the great things that are happening with technology. And specifically, we're going to get deeper into the weeds than just Chromebooks. But Chromebooks are new to our district. We're in year 2 of implementation. And then strategically, obviously I invited Dan because he helped me set up this whole thing and walk through this process. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my first guest, Mr. Dan Ruud, who is our technology integration specialist at St. Croix Central. Welcome, Dan.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I guess it's kind of the inaugural run, as they say, to kind of really see how this ship's going to work for us. Thanks again for having me on. Thanks for kind of bearing with us as we got this thing up and running here today. So just kind of a little bit about myself. I am the technology integration specialist throughout the St. Croix Central School District. I've been within our district for going on, I want to say this is my 8th year. Prior to this, I was in the role of teaching social studies at our 8th grade level. Background is master's in teaching and learning with technology, Google Certs, obviously certified educator, won 8. with emphasis in social studies and coaching. So that's kind of a little bit about me. You'd mentioned a lot about kind of Google and Chromebooks. I guess that's been one of the big things I've been spearheading here over the last 2 years, is kind of getting the implementation of those Chromebooks out to our students and helping staff kind of understand how to actually implement those within their teaching.
Dan, could you maybe take a moment to explain why Google and why Chromebooks?
Well, kind of the reason why Chromebooks is they're really easy for us within our IT department to manage. It's easy for us to push out apps and extensions, to assign them to students, to be able to figure out where they are. They have a wonderful battery life. They're easy to charge. They have an 8-hour battery life. They usually start up and shut down in 8 seconds. You can kind of lock things down as far as where the students are able to go via the internet or even through programs on the device. They're just for us as a school district, hitting a good price point for us, keeping it financially viable, was huge. We didn't want to go ahead and introduce a one-to-one program and not be able to be fiscally responsible and have it die out because we can't afford it. And that's something that Google's really done for us, is they're making their devices extremely affordable. As many parents 612 were able to experience this year as we pass savings along to them.
And how affordable are the Google programs?
Well, they're absolutely free. That's one of the great things, is we don't have to pay for Microsoft Suite on all of our devices, even though we get a very good price on those anyway. But the Google programs, they're 100% free because we are an educational institute. So that's also something that's very appealing. Their ability to be collaborative is huge. Having multiple users in different programs, being able to watch each other work at the same time, to share their collective knowledge and creativity is vital to the educational process from here on.
So when did we start with Chromebooks, and what was the implementation process?
Okay, well, I want to say we started 3 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago already with our staff. We rolled it out to our staff to begin with.
3 years ago.
3 years ago, that makes sense.
Starting my 4th year. Yep.
Yeah, it's all just starting to blend together. But anyway, we introduced it out to our staff first because we figured if this is going to be something that we're going to move forward with, get the hands into the people who are actually going to be driving our curriculum. Let the staff understand, get the feel for how do you use them, what's the layout, because they are just a little bit different than a traditional laptop as far as functionality. You really can't store any programs on it. Chromebooks are 100% cloud-based, so that was a little learning curve for some of our staff members. So we started out with our rollout to all staff, and then last year we rolled out grades 6, 7, and 8. So just our 8th grade building received Chromebooks last year, and this year we were able to expand to grades 6 through 12. And then our hope next year is we will be then moving from 6-12, expanding it even further into 4th through 12th grade. Our 6th through 12th graders have the ability to take their devices home with them. Next year, our 4th and 5th graders will not. Those will be in-class devices. So each teacher will have a Chromebook cart. So they'll have a cart of devices, 30 devices per room, so the students can use those throughout the day. And they'll stay at the school. They won't bring them home.
So the first year, we're very intentional with planning meaningful professional development for our staff. Obviously, we didn't want to just say, hey, here are the devices, kids, and good luck. We spent a year preparing how we would use them as a learning tool in the classrooms. And then financially, obviously, we wanted to have a tiered implementation plan. So this would be sustainable, not only for the initial implementation phase, but the replacement phase.
Yeah.
So how long do we expect to use these devices before we cycle them out?
Well, each device right now are going to be on a 4-year cycle. We'd initially looked at doing a 3-year cycle, but as you mentioned, financially and to have any type of sustainability, we extended that for an extra year. Google guarantees the functionality of a device for 5 years. So it kind of has a 5-year life cycle that Google will continue to update the device to guarantee that it will actually run all the programs available on the web.
Is that the management service, or what is that called?
Yeah, we purchased a management license through Google that is good for the life of the device, but the updates that the device receives from Google is what is only guaranteed for 5 years.
Okay. So how have the Chromebooks been received by the students?
Students are really excited to get the devices in their hands. Last year was a little bit of a learning curve for our 6th through 8th graders. It's a different way to kind of think about things. We're shifting education slightly, but most of these students are plugged in to begin with. We're dealing with a generation that is tech heavy, whether they have a personal device in their hand or a laptop or Chromebook, anything like that going on at home. They're very curious, and they just kind of dove right into it. Most of them were sharing tips and tricks with each other. I mean, your son was in the program, but what did he think right away?
Yeah, I was just going to say I agree. As a parent, I got to see it. My son in 6th grade, I mean, he got it, and he knew how to use it. And as a matter of fact, he was showing me his YouTube channel this summer and doing YouTube videos like we're doing here first. I mean, as a 12-year-old. So yeah, kids, I mean, this is just a part of their life, and they're very tech savvy. Like you said, we had to be very intentional with our staff because, not making an overly general statement, but generally speaking, we didn't grow up in the technology age. I mean, they just always grown up around electronics, and it's a part of their life, just like a refrigerator has been to ours. But 2 generations ago, a refrigerator, wasn't. But so it's just a given for them, and it comes pretty naturally. And I think it's important for us, I mean, as leaders in this district, to see that, and we say, how do we prepare our kids best for the future? And technology certainly is a way to do that, and stay up to date and prepare them.
Yeah.
So speaking of my son, I had some consternation about, at the time he was 11. It's like, we're getting a device in his hand that's at the time about $300. He's going to be carrying it everywhere, home and back, school. What happens if there's some damage or he loses it? So do you want to speak a little bit about insurance, where we started last year and where we're at this year?
Yeah, absolutely, I can do that. Last year both this year and last year, we were contracting with third-party insurance vendors. So the school isn't handling it ourselves. We are shipping those out to people who actually specialize in fixing these devices. They're more cost-effective to have them work on it than it is for our own personal staff to try to monkey around with some of these things. So last year, we partnered with a company. We got an insurance policy obviously optional insurance policy of $34.80 last year. We had about 1/3 of the student population or families participated in that insurance program. This year, we were shopping around a little more to see kind of what our options are, because we thought that $34 was a little high, and we were able actually to lock in a rate of $20 for this calendar year, and we ended up going with another vendor, and the insurance kind of covers everything that could potentially happen to your device, except for 2 things. One was a case, and the other one was a charger. The insurance companies consider those 2 things as accessories, so those are not covered by their policies. But for $20 this year, you were able to get a year insurance coverage on your device, which covers if the screen breaks, if you spill water on it, if you drop it. And also, that company kind of took care of all the manufacturer defects. So if all of a sudden your keyboard stops working, we can turn it into this company as well, and they'll fix that. They took care of all of our warranty claims as well. So it's a fluid for our side of the world too. We're trying to always gain the best quality product and the best relationships that we can get, while also making it as affordable as possible for our stakeholders.
Yeah, and I definitely would not go without insurance again. My son had what turned out to be a lemon after three different claims.
Yeah, it was three trips to the warranty service. Yeah,
none were any fault of his own, but so that was good. So those are separate issues, right? The manufacturer's warranty on one hand, and then the insurance coverage on the other.
Yep. Those are 2 different sides of the coin.
So what happens in the process since these Chromebooks are being used every day, in the classroom. What happens when one has to be sent in? What do the kids do? Do they go without a Chromebook for a week or two, or what happens?
All right. Well, usually what they're going to have to do is they bring their device to the library media specialist, or to the individual working in the library. They'll kind of give it a quick once-over. They're kind of our first level of defense to say, gee, is it just not charged? Is that why it's not turning on, or what the issue is? And then if needed, they'll submit an IT ticket, and then our tech department will come take a look at the device. And during that process of the evaluation of the device, the student is able to check out a different Chromebook from the library. So they check it out much like they do a book from the library. So the librarians will go through and they will scan the barcode, and then it's checked out to them just like a book. And then once say whether it's either needs to be submitted for damage repair or warranty work, throughout that process, the student can take it home, use it at school as if it's their own device.
Well, students never are without a device that they can use, correct?
Yeah, we try not to have that happen. Yeah. One of the reasons that we decided to kind of drop our fee from last year to this year, so the devices are free to all students enrolled in our district, including our alt ed and general student population. One of the biggest reasons we did that is because last year we were running into problems during our testing. So we had MAP testing at the middle school, and then also we have state testing that are all 100% online. And we're able to leverage our Chromebooks to use that. We utilize the technology of the Chromebooks so the students can actually take those tests on their devices. But we were running into either the issue of students who brought their own device to school. We couldn't test them on their own device because there are regulations and minimum requirements that we need to have in order to run those digital programs through the Chromebooks. So it was a kind of a management side for our IT department. Otherwise, it was very difficult to get each individual student a device checked out from the library and also be able to handle some of the students whose devices either went in for warranty work or were for damage.
So what are some examples of how students and staff are using the Chromebooks in class?
Oh, one of the biggest tools that we're able to leverage with our Chromebooks, as well as any device that we would have potentially went with, is the ability of something called Google Classroom. Google Classroom is the ability to have an online course, so it's pretty much like an internet course, and teachers can send out assignments over it. They can share information with their students. They can collect information. They can grade it. We have students that are using documents and sheets and slides and drawings and forms, and so we have some classes creating videos on YouTube, and we have other classes that are doing, like we had a science class doing stop motion animation videos with their Chromebooks. One of the features of the Chromebooks that we got last year and this year is that they actually have a flip video camera, so the camera can rotate 180 degrees and either record the individual that's using it or record something in front of the individual. So that's where we had a lot of science experiments were being recorded. We had artwork that was, they took pictures of their artwork and they submitted it over Google Classroom. So we had a lot of different ways to implement this. We have students that are coding on their Chromebooks right now, so we're doing other types of kind of STEM projects and different digital resources that they're able to do. Most anything that you can do in a web browser, we're doing on our Chromebooks.
One thing I forgot to ask about with insurance, what was the rate of broken, damaged, or insurance claims last year? Do you have those numbers handy?
So as far as where we're at with claims, the biggest there's two big issues that we found last year. One of them was a manufacturer defect with our touchpads. That was huge, touchpads and keyboards. And kind of the next big ticket item that we had were unfortunately chargers. The charging cords with the first devices and most other Chromebooks, including other manufacturer Chromebooks, there's a pin that plugs into the device, and that pin would either be broken or damaged, and that was kind of one of the biggest issues that we were dealing with.
So are chargers important for Chromebooks?
I'd assume they're a little important. Obviously, if you can't charge your device, we're kind of stuck with a big paperweight. But what we have now is the new device, same manufacturer, both are made by Lenovo, is our N22s, which are current sixth grade, our 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, the Lenovo, they increase the size of that pin. So now it's thicker. So hopefully because of its thickness, its change in thickness, that will limit the amount of damage to the pin, either by accidentally being tripped over or dropped or just pulled out at a different angle and bending the pin.
So can you talk a little bit, Dan, about your position specifically, technology integration specialist? I guess I can first introduce that by saying we felt it very important for Chromebook implementation planning that not only do we provide staff the training to use in the classroom, but we wanted to provide the support in the form of you, the technology integration specialist, to help both staff and students with not only Chromebooks, but technology, overall technology in general. So can you talk a little bit about your role in the district and how that's gone the last year?
Well, absolutely. So I've got officially 1 full year under my belt, and we're kind of going into year 2. So it's been a bit of a learning curve. We're managing some softwares that had gone unmanaged for a few years simply because people didn't either know about them or have the time. So you mentioned a lot about kind of the professional development, or how can I help teach the teachers. So we've been able to do a lot of one-on-one instructional coaching, so to really kind of see what level are we at, how can we improve, because every teacher is kind of at a different level, just as all of our students are at different levels. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot of time kind of figuring out where each staff member was, and then how I can actually hit them with the information that they needed. So I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. I meet with grade levels periodically. I meet with different curricular areas periodically, just kind of seeing how is the implementation going, sending out tutorials on how to use the different resources that Google is providing, as well as different resources that we are subscribing to as a district. Setting up those subscriptions is also another thing that we kind of went through. All of our online curriculum, setting up usernames and passwords for students as well as staff members, and then teaching both, how do I use it? How do I get to all these different resources that are being provided for me? So there's a lot of work that kind of went into just the foundation of where we needed to be before we could start moving forward was taking place last year, as far as getting all these different subscriptions set up and all these different tools set in place. And we were building on that last year, and even this year we're going to take even a larger step forward with kind of the expectations and just the overall knowledge that our staff is having. So
I want to talk a little bit about Google Apps for Education versus perhaps Microsoft Office. Okay. And about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, 5-6 years ago, in my previous position, we started the transition from Microsoft Office to Google Apps for Education, from Outlook email to Gmail, just like we've done here the last year or so. Yeah. So I'm familiar with some of it. I'll do my best to explain and then turn it over to you, the content expert. But again, Google Apps for Education and Microsoft Office both have Google is word processing is Docs. In Microsoft, it's Microsoft Word. It's Excel in Office. It's Sheets in Google. It's PowerPoint in Office. It's Presentation in Google. Mm-hmm. So those, and then I don't know, is there a data one as well? I never was very good with the database.
So are you just thinking Sheets, like an Excel database, or?
No, there was 4 of them. There was Office.
There's Publisher, Word. Microsoft Publisher.
No, it was different. It was a data.
Which is Google Drawings. Those are 2 that mirror each other.
So what Office had, Google has, and then I believe, maybe I'm biased, but Google has even more. For instance, now Classroom. Forms is another one where you do surveys. Yep. But Classroom is something that is new to me, at least in the last couple years. And it sounds like the majority of staff are using Google Classrooms. Can you explain Google Classrooms and how that helps? or in education?
Yeah, we can talk about Google Classroom, and it's really it's not per se just the one program like Google Classroom. We have some staff members that are using Moodle, which again is an online resource to house all of the curriculum that the teacher might have, to distribute that to its learners, to have it be kind of a repository so they can go back and actually look at the data. They can look at past assignments, students can. Kind of one neat thing about Google Classroom is using any of those tools that you mentioned earlier, the docs, the sheets, the slides, the drawings, the forms. Those are kind of the big five. You can use those to send those out to your students. So if I type up an assignment or type up directions, I can post that to my classroom page. It will automatically be distributed to all the students who are enrolled in that hour or that course. It will also take and put the student's name on the paperwork for them. It will make a copy of it for them, and it will organize it for them. So those are kind of big three things that as a classroom teacher you'd run into. Kids forgetting to put their name on their device, or not their device, but their paper. Kids losing their homework. I lost it. I don't know where it's at. My folder ate it. My locker's gone.
Dog.
My backpack's, yeah, the dog, yeah. So now it's no longer the dog ate my homework. It's my computer ate my homework. So we kind of get some of those, and there are glitches from time to time with any type of technology you're going to use. It's never going to be perfect all the time. So there are some glitches that we go through, and then also individuals around the globe that are using Google Classroom go through, because this isn't something that just SEC is doing. It's a global phenomenon with people using Classroom. So again, it's a way to house all that content, that instructional knowledge, either from the teacher, the content from the teacher and the knowledge from the students, and put it into one location. So it's really not misplaced, and it's all nice and organized and neat. There's neat features within Google Classroom that automatically sync with the students' calendars, so they have Google Calendar they can look at too, so they can get updates about when assignments are due, about if I turned in my assignment or not. We can send notifications out. They can send private messages to their teachers regarding a specific assignment. So teachers can comment back and forth when students are actually creating their assignments to help guide them or give them constructive criticism when needed, or praise with the great work that they're doing. So a lot of those aspects of being able to individually see exactly where each student's at, even if they're not at school, on a specific assignment, is something that you couldn't do before with paper and pencil.
You'd mentioned calendar. Google Calendar is another thing that I live by. I mean, if it's not in my calendar, it's not happening. Great organizational tool, I know, for me personally and for a lot of people. And the great thing about Google is the ability to share everything. You can share everything. And then of course there's lots of settings in what you want to share and what you don't want to share. But it's a huge tool for us as a school that's a professional learning community. Collaboration is huge. Collaboration are words you're going to hear us talk about a lot. Systemic are words we use a lot. But we're a team. We truly are a team. And it's, like I said, I can't say enough good things about Google and how that's helped us do our work. The other thing, besides calendar too, is Google Hangout. I mean, that's the platform that we're using right now to record this.
The big ticket.
You don't have to even be in the same room. You don't even have to be in the same state or country to have these types of meetings. And so that's another great collaborative tool as well. Shifting gears a little bit, I know we're going on about a half an hour here. One thing I wanted to address is what do you say to the parental concerns when a parent or person says, how do I know that this is safe? How do I know that my child can't, be accessing information they shouldn't, or vice versa? That safety. How do you address safety, and what are the things that we do to make sure that our students are safe?
Yeah, that's a great question. It comes down to having a good infrastructure here at school to handle all the traffic. I mean, we've bumped up the amount of traffic as far as devices exponentially over the last few years.
Can you? It'd be a good time to give a shout out to the
Shout
man
out
that makes it happen.
to our network administrator, Chad Consol, has done an amazing job at kind of really formulating the backbone of kind of everything that we're working on. I mean, this conversation right now wouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
With getting things running.
He's amazing.
He works magic sometimes. You really can't say enough good things about him, but he'd be the first guy to say it's not me, it's other people. So he's kind of a little low key in that aspect. But anyway, as far as kind of any type of apprehension, as far as knowing what is my student going to stumble into when he's using this Chromebook, we filter the devices here at school. We have to. It's against the law not to. So we filter.
What is filtering?
So we limit their access to different websites. So there's content filtering. We block websites based off of kind of what they have on them or how they're categorized. So if it's a gaming website, if it's a social media website, if it has inappropriate material that is not age appropriate, that might be something that we have to block as well.
In addition to the filters, we have other programs that can flag certain words.
Yep. We also have a program that kind of tracks all the keystrokes that a student makes and puts that into a database. And we have some different phrases and words that if the student tries to type, we get a flag and we get a report on that daily. So that's also kind of one backup that we have. When students are using any Wi-Fi network within the district, they're automatically connected to it on their Chromebook, and that's the way we filter it as well. Also, when they are at home using someone's hotspot to use their Chromebook, or using just the Wi-Fi either at home or at a business, we redirect their internet access back through the school district. So it's as if they're sitting at a desk or in a building here at school the whole time. They could be on vacation in northern Minnesota, and it's going to think that they're here at St. Croix Central.
So in addition to the things we do on our end, need to mention that we also do a lot of work with teaching kids, that's the business we're in, about internet safety. And of course, nothing's foolproof. If there's a will, there's a way. Some students may be able to find ways around firewalls and whatnot, but we really try to be proactive. And then if they do find ways to misuse it, we treat it like any other disciplinary issue, because that's what it is. Student making a bad choice, and we have consequences, and obviously we're able to monitor that and deal with it. But knock on wood, to my knowledge, we have not had any major issues, just the typical small issues, and we deal with it. But we're not of the mind of, hey, something bad could happen, so let's not do it at all. We treat it just like anything else. Students may make a few bad choices, and we use those as learning opportunities to move on and be good consumers of technology.
Yep. So that's kind of, we talked about giving shout outs earlier. Shout out to our library media specialist, Amanda Olson, definitely dealing with internet literacy and how do I use this technology appropriately just throughout any website that I'm using. What type of information do I share? Don't I share? What do I do if I stumble upon a site that I'm not supposed to be at? So she's done a great job at our middle school and high school and even our elementary, kind of really championing kind of how do I appropriately use that. So that I just wanted to make sure that she kind of gets her praise too, as all students have kind of had her in class. And then just one other thing I wanted to touch on is, you mentioned that, hey, we don't always want to have to react to things. We want to be proactive, but at the same time, having an extra set of eyes from peers, from parents, like, hey, you see something, you're not sure if your son or daughter should be on there, you're wondering, gee, how are you able to get there on your Chromebook? Let us know if there's something that you don't think is appropriate or might be a little fishy, because like you said, there's always will. If there's a will, there's a way. And people are coming up with every day something new to get around of firewalls or websites that are blocked. So let us know, definitely, because we'll try to get on top of those as much as we can.
You want to shift gears to construction?
Yeah, absolutely. We can kind of get a little construction update. Obviously, if people haven't noticed, we've got a little construction going on in our district for the last year and a half or 2 years or so. So we'll kind of shift over. I'll kind of ask you a couple questions now, Tim, just to kind of shift the table on you. So we mentioned construction right now. we're almost done with some of our construction across our district. Let's go ahead and we'll start kind of at your mainstay, the district office. How are things going over there right now?
Well, we're filming this Google Hangout YouTube video from our new district office. Things are going great here. We moved in exactly 2 weeks ago today. Today is the 16th of September, so we moved in on the 2nd, which was the second day of school, but it worked for us. Part of the half of this building is under demo. That's going to be the new boardroom and conference room. And they're also going to remove the drive-through, because this is a former bank, the drive-through canopy. So we have a little more room back there for parking.
Where is the district office located now? You said it's a new building.
Yeah, we're at 915 Davis Street, which is the former Associated Bank building, right on Davis Street here, kind of kitty corner to the library, in the same area as Sandy Breck Photography, across the street, just south. We're just south across the corner from Raz's on Main. So we're kind of in North Davis Street area.
Okay.
Got the new sign out front. We kept the nostalgia and the history with the time and temperature digital clock out front, but we updated the sign to say St. Croix Central School District our district office. We started, with the $23.995 million referendum project. We started way back in, I believe it was March of last year. So we're on a year and a half now construction. At that time, it was the middle school and the site work around the middle school, the new parking lot, the bus garage, all that was the first phase. And then we moved into site work at the high school and the elementary, and then moved on to the elementary school first, and the high school is going to be the last part. But that's we'll save the big construction discussion for another video podcast.
Okay.
Let's talk about the construction and how it relates to technology, because obviously technology infrastructure is huge within the buildings themselves. It just doesn't happen like you say. When I, even just before I first started here, I remember attending the first board meeting in March of 2013. I remember Chad doing a presentation on upgrading the technology infrastructure, and that meant wireless access points. And he had a heat map, I remember, at that meeting, and showing how the entire buildings were covered. So I know that was phase one, but as we added on new square footage, and off the top of my head, I believe it was 90,000 square feet of new facilities. Probably half of them are classrooms themselves, but the whole building we need to make sure is covered, whether it's the auditorium, the gymnasium, the hallways, everywhere. So that again just doesn't happen. Even to get fiber run to buildings, we've got fiber at the bus garage. We've got fiber going in there. We've got fiber in the old maintenance bus garage. We had to move some fiber at the high school because of the additions. That's to the building. And then once you're in the building, you got to have all these access points and wire run, not only for internet access, but also for those speaker and PA system. I know that was a big undertaking. We thought about the future, and not only doing wireless and the video portion with smart boards and video projectors, but also the audio portion with the speaker systems and the new classrooms as well. So you guys did a great job, the whole IT department, in thinking ahead for the future, putting in audio visual technology that is going to be useful and either and capable of expanding on as technology changes. You always say, by the time you put something in, it's already outdated. It's something newer and better. But you do a great job of thinking ahead with that. So that's the tip of the iceberg, kind of the 30,000 foot view. Anything you want to talk about specifically with IT?
You mentioned you stole my thunder here. I mentioned about access points going in at the elementary. Repurposing repurposing some at the middle school, putting new ones in at the high school. You talked about the fiber run to the different buildings. You talked about the smart boards that we're upgrading. Hopefully we get those smart boards upgraded here by Christmas. Let's see. Geez, you talked about the speaker systems. You talked about the new projectors and some. You talked about yeah, pretty much most of what we're dealing with here right now.
Security, maybe. You talk about security and access points.
Security entry points into all of our buildings. We are going to be implementing fobs, so our staff members can now get in and out of buildings using their key fob. We have a working secure access point here at our middle school currently, and also our elementary, where you have to kind of get buzzed into the building, kind of lock that down. At the elementary right now, we have you go right by the front office. The middle school is kind of a little different as far as how it's laid out. So you actually have to come in an entrance off to the left. It's more secure by where we had our elevator, and then you push a button and we have a camera fires up, and office personnel upstairs kind of see who you are and talk to you and buzz you in that way. So we are kind of increasing the security measures that we have throughout the district, and that secure entrance will be coming here to the high school kind of in their second phase 2 of construction.
So that, yeah, we want to make that happen as soon as possible. Although we are going to remodel the whole front entrance and office area next summer, we obviously felt safety. Yesterday was the right time to make safety a priority. So that's a priority. We're going to put the A-phone system there where you have the camera and the audio speaker to buzz people in. And that, hopefully, from what I understand, is going to be happening within the next 3 weeks or so, as soon as possible, which is great. Safety and security was always the first, or the foremost priority with our referendum. So I just want to make sure everybody understands all 3 buildings are going to be as safe and secure as possible. There are other technology we could get into, but it might be going too far into the weeds. But again, just generally speaking, every door, just like a home security system, every door is going to have a monitor on it, and we'll be able to tell, if they're open or not, just from a computer, and when they're opened, when folks go through them, who goes through them, all those kinds of things. So again, it's good for safety and security.
Absolutely.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to hit on before we wrap this up? We're going on about 40 minutes here.
Oh, I think, again, we've hit a lot of different topics. Obviously, I'd love to be a repeat guest for you here in the near future once we kind of get this thing rolling, as we kind of open up kind of our new world in our technology, to kind of give us updates here periodically. So I absolutely would love to be a guest on again, but I think we've hit a whole lot of information here for the listeners and viewers.
Yeah, I should mention these earbuds that we have in too. We're not listening to songs as we do the video. They're primarily, this little device here is a microphone. So the main purpose of these earbuds is for the audio, to enhance the audio quality. So thanks, Dan, for setting that up. Thanks for setting this whole thing up. Yeah. Like I said, look forward to many more of these. And I was going to say, you did a nice job of not answering the phone and let you distract you earlier.
Thank you.
That was great. So again, we're in Panther land, Panther country. We're going to have this on our website, via our website, and look for new podcasts, new Panther podcasts. Again, weekly is my goal. There'll be this type of format with different guests each time. I don't really have a time limit. It kind of all depends on the subject, content material, and the person we're talking about. So generally speaking, try to keep them to around a half an hour, but something like this obviously is challenging because we've got a lot going on with technology. So if you want to, if folks want to get in touch with you, Dan, how do they reach you?
There's kind of 2 different ways. They can either email me, or they can leave me a voicemail. Let's see, right now I'm housed out of the middle school, so the number there is 716-2256, and I'm at extension 2223. Or they can just shoot me an email at druud@scc.k12.wi.us. Again, druud @scc.k12.wi.us.
And folks who want to reach me can email me as well. Every staff member at SCC has the same address. It's first initial, last name. So T Whitaker, TWID IKER at scc.k12.wi.us, or our new phone at the District Administrative Office is 715-796-4500, and I'm at extension 37.
Brand new.
3373.
All right, brand new. They just came out with those the other day, so don't have to give you too hard of a time.
All right. Thank you very much, Dan, for being a guest on the inaugural Panther podcast and for setting up this whole chat here today.
All right.
All right. Take care. Until next time.